Unexplained phenomena captivate us and challenge our understanding. Mysteries that defy explanation. Hidden forces that spark wonder and fear. Today, we uncover three of the strangest mysteries that puzzle both scientists and skeptics. A creature said to haunt the waters of Scotland's most famous lake. A man who claims to have visited the past and seen the future. And a signal from deep space. We begin in Scotland, where the legend of the Loch Ness Monster has captivated and confounded for centuries. A creature that may or may not lurk in its shadowy waters. Next, we'll examine the controversial Andrew Bashago, who maintains he was part of a secret government time travel initiative. This startling revelation invites us to explore the depths of human ambition and the potential for altering the course of history. And finally, the wow signal, an extraordinary burst of energy from deep space that left scientists questioning whether we're truly alone in the universe. These mysteries offer glimpses into unknown worlds. Are they proof of forces beyond our control? Or simply the limits of what we know? Nestled within the Scottish Highlands, Loch Ness stretches over 20 miles, a vast, deep body of water shrouded in myth and mystery. For centuries, locals have spoken of something lurking in its depths, a creature that defies all logic and categorization. The legend of the Loch Ness Monster first gained international fame in 1934 with the publication of this picture, known as the surgeon's photograph, which was said to have been taken by London-based gynecologist Lieutenant Colonel Robert Kenneth Wilson. This grainy image shows a long-necked figure rising from the water, sparking a global fascination. Was this image proof of a prehistoric survivor, a relic from the age of dinosaurs, or simply a clever hoax? The story goes that M.A. Wetherill, who was a big game hunter and former employee of the Daily Mail, was ridiculed after presenting Nessie footprints that were revealed to be fake. Seeking revenge, Wetherill, along with his son Ian, his son-in-law Christian Sperling, and an accomplice, Maurice Chambers, constructed a toy submarine topped with a sculpted head and neck. In 1991, Christian Sperling confessed on his deathbed that the photograph was staged. Details of the plot were further corroborated in a 1999 book, cementing the image's place in history as one of the most famous hoaxes of all time. Witnesses have described Nessie, as the creature is affectionately known, in many forms. Some see a serpent-like figure with humps breaking the surface, while others report a more whale-like body moving in a deliberate, eerie manner.
Clem Lister says he's seen Nessie 5 times.
I was coming across the loch up in that direction over there, 12:30 a.m. I'd just run some soldiers over to our site on the other side of the loch. And it was a flat calm, and I had a dinghy with an outboard, and the outboard packed up, and I started to row. I'd been rowing for about 3 minutes, and suddenly I heard this peculiar sound. It was going sort of something like that. And I looked over my right shoulder, and there she was, about 15 yards away from me. And I only looked at it very briefly, because after that, I was only interested in putting as much distance between me and it as possible.
Each sighting is fleeting, and the descriptions often contradict each other. Scientists have recently taken a more serious approach to the Loch Ness mystery, using sonar and underwater cameras to search for any sign of a creature. Some researchers even believe that Loch Ness is simply too cold and too isolated to sustain a creature of Nessie's supposed size. Sonar scans reveal anomalies in Loch Ness, unexpected movements and strange shapes, but whether these are living creatures or simply submerged debris, it remains unknown. Skeptics argue Nessie is nothing more than a legend fueled by misidentifications, floating logs, or even otters swimming in formation. Yet, the stories endure, compelling enough that each year, thousands of visitors come hoping for a glimpse of the elusive monster. Does something truly inhabit the lake? A creature that skillfully eludes both cameras and sonar? Or is Nessie simply a manifestation of our desire to believe in the unknown? A reminder that some mysteries are best left unsolved. In the world of the unexplained, few claims are as extraordinary as those of Andrew Bashago. The lawyer from Washington State insists he was part of a secret U.S. government project in the 1960s and 70s, an experiment in time travel and teleportation. According to Bashago, he's not just a witness to history, he's a traveler within it. As a child, Bashago says he was recruited into Project Pegasus, a classified DARPA operation aimed at exploring time travel. He explains the project involved teleportation technology, developed from the work of inventor Nikola Tesla, machines that could transport individuals across time and space in an instant. The scientific community is skeptical. Physicists argue Bashago's claims lack supporting evidence, dismissing them as impossible within our understanding of the laws of physics. Despite this, Bashago stands firm, providing detailed accounts of his alleged missions and encounters.
I was brought in initially by my father in the winter of 1968, which for me was the second semester of my first grade year. I was 6 years old, and we met this person, Dr. Harold M. Agnew. My dad took me up to the teleport at Curtis Wright. There were two parenthesis-shaped booms on the shop floor in Building 68. My dad had the technician turn the device on. A field of radiant energy began to move back and forth between these two elliptical or parenthesis-shaped booms. And my dad explained that he was going to hold my hand, and at the count of 3, we were going to jump through this field of energy as quickly as possible, and find ourselves in a tunnel of light, which would then close, and we would find ourselves elsewhere in the country.
Bashago has spent years campaigning publicly to convince the world that time travel exists, and the US government has used it in secret for decades. Bashago also claims he traveled through time to the Gettysburg Address. According to Bashago, a famous photo taken that day proves it. The picture shows a bugle boy, who he claims is him.
Here I am, and Abraham Lincoln had just arrived on the stage over from the right side of the dais. On horseback, he came down a small parade. When I was standing like this to avoid being noticed, I was just waiting for them to take me back in time, back to 1972. I saw the photographer setting up on a small stepladder right here. I turned my head and looked at him as he looked out from underneath his photographer's canopy. He went back under his canopy. I turned my head and I began tingling before I sensed he had taken the picture. We then analyzed the photograph and found that you can see the interior of my skull. You're seeing me being X-rayed. Well, why is this proof that this is a time traveler from the future? Because the Polish chemist Marie Curie and her French husband Pierre Curie would not discover radium, which is at the foundation of X-ray, for years. In fact, she wouldn't be born until 1867, Madame Curie.
The truth of Andrew Bashago's experiences, whether a glimpse into a hidden world of an invention of the mind, lies beyond the reach of our science and imagination. Our final mystery takes us beyond Earth, to the furthest reaches of the cosmos. In August 1977, a group of astronomers were monitoring the Big Ear radio telescope in Ohio, searching for signals from deep space. That's when a young astronomer saw something strange, a burst of energy unlike anything he'd ever seen. Dr. Jerry Emmon circled the sequence and scribbled one word: wow. The signal fit all the criteria expected of a message from extraterrestrial intelligence: narrow band, highly structured, and close to the 1420 megahertz hydrogen line, the frequency in which neutral hydrogen emits radio in nature, and coming from a region of space near the Sagittarius constellation. This was no ordinary cosmic noise. Some suggest it was a military signal, possibly an undisclosed transmission that happened to intersect with Big Ear's range. Others believe it was simply an anomaly that might never happen again.
So they found it once, and they didn't find it the second time, and they never found it again. And nobody has ever found it again. Many people have looked. So that's the wow signal was called that because, this guy wrote wow with a magic marker on the printout. But if it isn't found a second time, you can't really get too excited about it.
If it was indeed a message from another world, was it sent intentionally, or was it simply a burst of energy from a distant star? And without further evidence, we may never know. The wow signal left scientists and the public alike in awe, a possible hint of other intelligent life, or a cosmic coincidence as fleeting as it was powerful. For now, they remain mysteries, inviting us to keep searching.